Let's talk about Mohammed bin Salman, but let's talk about Saudi Arabia. When you look at what is going on in the Middle East and you see countries like Israel rampaging and bombing and destroying countries with reckless abandon, and you look at the likes of Iran being called out on the media every day, in some cases, rightfully so, because Iran has also intervened in the politics of their neighbors. But let's talk about the Saudis. No, it's baffling to me that nobody is really talking about or nobody is really interested in what the Saudis did in Yemen. The Saudis came to Yemen and supported the separatists in the south. And by the way, the history goes back to the 30s and 40s and even 50s. The Saudis have been supporting the separatists in the south, and this was under what was called the Republic of Yemen in the south, when you have the Imamate of Yemen in the north. And the reason for that is simple. Saudi Arabia is a creation of Britain. Britain created Saudi Arabia as we know it today. Britain also created the likes of the United Arab Emirates and also the likes of Qatar. Most of these countries you see today, particularly after the First World War and, right before this period of the Second World War, were all artificial creations. The borders, the nation state in terms of the borders you see today are arbitrary and artificial. But let's go deep a little bit. The British were, when they were trading along the areas of the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, they were going to India. So sometimes their vessels would need to refuel because they needed to burn a lot of coal. So they were using the port of Aden to dock. They were using it. So Britain was interested in Yemen and they fought over time to kick out the Ottoman. So the history goes back a long time. So if you look at the activities of Saudi Arabia in the region, it has not been to the benefit of the people in the region. And we can unpack them one after the other. Let's talk about Iraq. The US invasion and attack on Iraq. The planes were coming out of Jeddah. They were using bases in Saudi Arabia to attack Iraq. Let's also talk about the role of the Saudis in the war in Yemen. 700,000 plus people directly liquidated or forced to die through famine. Let's talk about the role of the Saudis, like the US claim in 9/11. There were about 19 or 20 of those hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. The Saudis also played a role supporting the Mujahideen in Afghanistan in the 80s, where Bin Laden and the likes of them, Ayman al-Zawahiri from Egypt, Saif al-Adel from Egypt. The Saudis are the ones that have been indoctrinated them. The Saudis are the ones that are spreading this brand of Salafism all over the world, including in Africa. Let's not forget that, the Saudis. Let's go to Syria. A lot of people look at the situation in Syria today, and it's easy to see Israel dropping bombs from the sky in Syria. And the Israelis are a problem in the region. There's no doubt about that. But the Saudis have been collaborating with Israel and Turkey, on some occasions to destroy countries in the region. And Syria is one of them. The guy they called Ahmed al-Sharaa today, or popularly known as Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, was one of the fighters of Al-Qaeda and decided to break ranks with Al-Qaeda because he believes they were too soft, and joined ranks with ISIS in the region, and then founded or worked with a group called Jabhat al-Nusra. Guys, I'm giving you an assignment. If you want, you can go and look at the mandate of Jabhat al-Nusra, the doctrine of Jabhat al-Nusra. It focuses on the near enemy. There's a book by Fawaz Jajez that talks about the near enemy. Okay? For Al-Qaeda, it is global jihad. For them, it is local, meaning that their target is not Israel. They said it clearly that Israel is not their enemy. America is not their enemy. That the enemy they have are the regional players like Iran and the Alawites in Syria and the Shia. This is what Jabhat al-Nusra. So it's very sectarian. And again, who benefits from this? Israel and the United States, because when there's sectarian division, when people are turning their pew against each other and liquidating each other, it gives the enemy power. And this is what Israel is doing. And this is why I warned specifically about Syria. Somebody gave me a number recently that there are over 40,000 Syrians that are applying for asylum to go to Israel. That makes a lot of sense. It tells me exactly what I've been thinking all along. And I also saw when Israel took out Nasrallah and they were attacking Lebanon, some of them were dancing in Idlib. They were celebrating. Well. As we see today, Syria is gone. It's finished. Syria is going to be balkanized. It's going to be divided between the different players. Turkey today is keeping the Hatay region, including the port of Iskenderun that they seized in the 30s. Turkey today seized some areas in Afrin, which is right around the area of Idlib. They have a problem with the Kurds, but they are using that opportunity to seize land from Syria. Israel as well is seizing land from Syria, including Mount Hermon. Do you guys think that Israel is now interested in somehow making peace with Syria? Absolutely not. People say that the leader Ahmed al-Shara or Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, is reaching out to the Israelis in order to join the Abraham Accord. Do you think Israel will want to make peace with Syria when they have the opportunity that Syria is weak to seize land? Israel is driving towards, a goal of creating a security zone in the southern part of Syria, through the Sueda corridor, through the Jordanian border, the Iraqi border, to connect with the Kurds in Rojava. Meaning that they are trying to create a security corridor from the south of Syria all the way to the Kurdish areas. And this is why they're supporting the Druze. This is why they're supporting the Kurds. So this is all the game that Israel is playing. And the people that supported these, organizations to come to power played right into the hands of Israel. It's either they played right into the hands of Israel ignorantly, or the leaders within these groups knew exactly what they were doing. And some of these leaders might not even be CIA plants or Mossad plants that they brought into power. And this is the thing, right? Just because they claim to be Islamists does not mean that they are fighting for the people. And if you look at what they are doing today, and I'm not saying that Assad should have stayed, but look at the alternative. Is Syria getting any better? Are things getting better in Syria? Of course, power have been transferred from the Alawis, which make up about less than 12% of the population, to the majority Sunnis. And by the way, we can talk about the persecution of the Alawis and the Christians now in places like Banias and Tartus and Latakia, all the way in the north. And then Israelis are going to make an excuse that, the Druze are being targeted in the south, therefore we must. So what Israel is doing is twofold: asserting itself in Syria, telling the Turks that they are here to stay, particularly in the southern part and the borders with Israel, and also bombing the symbols of the state, bombing the state of Syria in order to give legitimacy to Jolani. Does that make any sense? They are bombing Syria in order to legitimize Jolani. Jolani can now say to his people, look, Israel does not even like me. I'm the one fighting for you. So this is twofold, and the situation is getting even worse. All of this because of Saudi Arabia. The Saudis are the ones pumping in a lot of money, and we can talk about Turkey if you want, but the Saudis have pumped in a lot of money for sectarian reasons in the region. One other point I want to make is Lebanon. Saudi Arabia as well have destroyed Lebanon. They've pumped in a lot of money at the point they kidnapped the prime minister, kept him under house arrest in Saudi Arabia. Said Hariri, the son of the former prime minister Rafik Hariri, kept him in detention in Saudi Arabia. A prime minister of Lebanon was kept in detention in Saudi Arabia, the prime minister of Lebanon, until the French government and Macron decided to go and plead on his behalf. Nobody's talking about this. Even Iraq, Syria, the Arab League, and the Gulf Cooperation countries led by the Saudis, gave a green light to NATO and stamped the death warrant of Muammar Gaddafi. The Saudis are much of a problem in the region as Israel, as the United States of America. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.